Okay, new project. Once you're signed into Fusion 360, we're going to go in. We want to say new design, and it's going to take us to a new canvas. Okay, the new canvas is on the screen, and currently nothing is showing. The light bulb is off for origin. If I click the light bulb, I can now see my origin. I'm going to go to my document settings first, and I'm going to make sure that my unit is set to inches. If it's set to millimeters, let's change it to inches. Just click on the drop down, and we're going to choose millimeter or centimeters, inches, whatever it is you want. I'm doing this exercise in inches. If you set as the default, that's going to stay as the default for your login, but it's not going to impact anybody else's login. Alrighty? So what we're going to do is we're going to make just a little refrigerator magnet. It's a pretty similar exercise to making the key tag, but it's a little variety. So to get started, we're going to make a key tag, the magnet that's 2.5 by 1 inch oval. So I'm going to click on my sketch menu. I'm going to go to ellipse, and I'm going to choose the sketch plane that's currently flat or horizontal, and this is the sketch plane I'm going to work in. If the sketch palette's in your way, you can just scoot it over to the right hand side to give you some room. Now, when you create an ellipse, first thing you need to do is pick the center point, and I'm going to actually just work from the origin. So I'm going to click on the center point, and I'm going to drag to the right, and I need to be 2.5 inches. So I'm going to do 2.5, and I don't want any degrees. I need that to be 0. So we're going to click once we've got it in there, and then we drag up to, and I'm just rolling, I'm not really dragging, to 1 inch, or I can type 1 inch. When I hit the enter key, I should have a 2.5 by 1 inch ellipse. If you didn't get it 2.5 by 1 inches, for right now, I would recommend that you just erase what you got, start over again. If you need to just highlight everything and hit the delete key, it's all gone. I can go back to my sketch. I'm still sketching. It says stop sketch, so I know I'm sketching. And I'm going to go back to my ellipse, start at the center point. And again, I want to be 2.5 inches, 0 degrees, and hit the enter key, which is a mistake. You click with your mouse, ellipse, start in the center, 2.5. I'm making all the mistakes I don't want you to make. When I click with my mouse, it's going to allow me to now set the height of my ellipse, and I want it to be 1 inch. Now I can hit the enter key, and I have my ellipse. I can now choose stop sketch, and here is my first oval. Okay. I want to make it thicker, so I'm going to right click on it, same as we're used to doing before, and getting that pill, but there is no little pill anymore. We simply have this menu, and look at how as you rotate, the wedge is going to change what we're on, and I've also got options here. I'm going to choose press pull, because remember I said that's the same as extrude. It wants me to select, so I'm going to select my object, and now I simply want to drag up, and I'm going to go up until I'm at 0.15. Well, I didn't get to 0.15, it's jumping in bigger increments. If I click on the distance drop down, it'll actually give me some choices already there, or I can type in 0.15. When I click on it, I can hit enter, and I now have my oval extruded. I can zoom in with my right mouse, press and hold, and rotate with that center rolling mouse button. If I want to turn off the axes, I can just hit the light bulb on origin, and I'm back to where I was. Now, you'll notice over here that bodies are on, and sketches are on. If I turn off bodies, sketch is off too, so I don't see anything. If I click on the sketch, that's my sketch. Click off on the sketch, on bodies, and this is my 3D body. Notice down here that I now have two things on my timeline, a sketch and an extrusion. Alrighty? Now, next thing we want to do is zoom in so we're seeing it a little more closely. And I'm going to click on the edge of my oval. I'm right on the edge, click on it, and I'm going to press my right mouse button. And now I've got the option here on my little pop-up menu of fillet. On my fillet, because this is an oval, if I drag in, it's going to make my object rounded in. Notice if I go too far, it's going to give me an error. There's only so far that I can go. I can't go further than sort of rounded over. I'm going to go to 0.15, hit the enter key or click on close, and we're good. If I go to the top, I can now see that my object has a nice flat top, a pretty curved edge. That's that zoom that it does when I don't want it to. And I'm now going to roll it over on its back. Now on the back we need to put a hole for that magnet. And if you put a caliper on the magnet, you'll see that the magnet is, at least my magnets are 0.70 inches. So I'm going to make my hole 3/4 of an inch. Now to add my hole, I'm going to square things up looking at the bottom, and I'm going to go to my sketch tool, and I want a circle with a center diameter circle. Choose center diameter circle. When I move onto the screen, I need to, the little pop-up isn't cooperating, I either need to click on a plane or a face. And I want to put the hole on the face, so I'm going to click on that face. I'm going to go right to the center, place the center point, and it wants the diameter, and I'm going to go to 0.75 and hit the enter key. Once I do that, I have now made a sketch. Notice over here I now have sketch 2, and that sketch is going to turn into a little concave area to put my magnet in. So I'm going to tip it just a little bit so that I can see things. I'm going to click to highlight that hole, and I'm going to go to press pull again, and this time I want to go down. Now when I go down, see how it's turning red right now? Pardon me. The operation is set to cut. I can also say join, which is going to make a blob that size connected to the oval. I can also choose intersect. Intersect is what we're going to use to make those fun balls that have the mesh on them, but not going to help us today. We want to just use our distance of -0.15. We want to cut. Now 0.15 is the thickness of it, so I need it to be a little thinner. I need to go to probably -0.05. That's going to give me enough room to put my magnet in, but not much more. Click on OK, and I can now see that I'm ready for my magnet. I'll rotate back around to the top, click on the top view, and rotate it so I can see it a little bit better. The next thing I'm going to do is add my text. I've already got my oval set. If I want to make a change, I don't like my fillet. Remember, you can always just double click on it on the timeline, and I can make my fillet more or less, but I have a limit to what I can make that fillet. If I want it to be less, or I want to get rid of it completely, I can do that right in here. As soon as you hit enter, it updates that part of this object, but goes on. Let's say I didn't get this circle the right size. I can change it by double clicking on it, change the dimensions, and now it'll be the correct size. So it's much more forgiving than 123D Design was. Okay, now we got the same sort of weirdness with text, and this may be more frustrating, frankly, than you had with 123D Design, but it's worth putting up with it. I'm going to go to Sketch, and I'm going to go to Text, and again, it wants to know where I want to put my text. This is the plane I want my text on, but I'm not going to actually start there yet. I'm going to come up above and click to open the text window, and this looks a lot like what you were used to. With the extruded text, if it's going out, you need to make sure that the text you're using is thick enough, it's heavy enough. Always double check it when you're in Cura that you don't have some funky little letters showing up. I had mine that says important in my sample, and I'm going to call this one Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and look at what I've got. My writing is upside down and backwards. Hit horizontal flip, hit vertical flip, and now I can grab it and I'm the way I want it to be. Little bit weird, close up that sketch palette, little bit of weirdness there, but you can tolerate it. I can do with a little bit bigger writing, 0.4, 0.6, ooh, too big. So 0.4 was a little bit too small, so I'm going to do 0.45. And again, I can pick up the whole thing with that blue circle. As long as I'm editing the text, click on OK, and I'm now ready to extrude the text. Notice as I move my mouse over and back, you can see it behave slightly differently. I can right click. I'm going to do press pull, rotate a little bit so that I can see where I am. And now it wants to have a profile. I think I've got the right one. Nope. Oh, there it goes. It is the right one. And I'm going to say 0.15. I'm actually going to say 0.05. I don't want this writing to stand up too much or it's going to look silly. Notice that it's set to join instead of cut because I want my letters to automatically go up. I don't have to worry anymore about attaching them and making them a part of each other. That was a nuisance that you had to deal with in 123D. So I'm going to choose join, and then I'm going to turn, click on OK, and then I'm going to turn off the sketch. By turning off the sketch, come on, turn off. By turning off the sketch, I've got a better idea of what it looks like. I'm happy with how it looks. If I don't like the words, I can change to something else. If I went through instead of making my letters stand proud, I would run into a problem on the back because I have that cutout for my magnet. If you see the cutout for the magnet on the front side, go back to the timeline to where you put that circle in and change it around so that it comes out correctly. Alrighty? Now all you have to do is get ready to print. So see, super quick project. I'm going to go in and first save what I've done. When I click on save, I'm going to call this Tomorrow Magnet. I think I know how to spell tomorrow. Good idea to save it first. It's also pretty forgiving if it crashes and you have to come back in. I'm going to click on Make 3D Print. This is going to make the STL file for us. I'm going to highlight, try it again. I'm going to highlight my object. That body is going to be highlighted. If you're not seeing something, make sure that bodies are turned on. I want to go to Cura, so I click on OK. And unfortunately, Cura is not open, so it's going to take a second to open up. Once I go into Cura, I'm going to save that STL file. Let's take a quick look at it. I'm going to change my view mode. I'm going to change my view mode to layers so that I can see my layers. The blue line, again, is just where it's drawing from and sort of the little funkiness you have to deal with. But notice this is solid. I'm not seeing any of the background. So that looks like a pretty good option. It's set to bronze fill. I'm not printing with bronze fill. I'm printing with PLA. But I'm actually going to save this just as an STL file. So I'm going to say File and Save Model. When I save my model, I'm going to tell it where I want to go. Y'all usually go over here and find the 3D print. And I'm going to call this Tomorrow Lie because I want to know this is mine and not somebody else's. And I save it. Close up Cura. And I'm now ready to go print it out. First thing you've done in Fusion. Great program, easy to get around in. Give it a chance. You'll like it.